this is Verse, and I'm with Mimetic Value. You can see he's ready to fight the plague with his N95 mask.
This is on N95. This is like
even more advanced.
Well, I don't have the filters in right now, but
gotcha.
It could be P100 if I want to put the filters on.
Yeah, if you want to get super serious about this. But yeah, I've been following you for a minute. I've been following you for a minute. I might have found you from Naval actually. I don't know. I feel like I did, but yeah. So this is so I wanted to bring you on to talk about like your thought on your Twitter. I'm not really sure exactly what to call your account, but it's like super interesting to follow. So first off, I know that you have like you like to mix like the politics of like discipline and aesthetics with like tech kind of and like meme theory. So like, what would you consider yourself an account that's trying to get across?
I feel like right now I'm just not trying to get across anything. I'm just like shit posting for the fun of it. It's whatever. I could have the Twitter or I could not have it. Like if I get suspended tomorrow, I wouldn't really care. It's like, okay, great. It's not there, but like people I've been connecting with, I'll find them some other way. It's okay. Yeah.
So like, but I know that at some point before you had like a consulting thing or whatever that you were talking about on your Twitter. Is that why it doesn't really matter as much?
Yeah, so I kind of transformed that into like a more full-time employment kind of thing. Wait, we're getting the serious topics on. I'm supposed to be scaring you guys and saying that the plague is fucking everywhere. I'll die unless you get like a crazy respirator and you have to go out like this. Yeah, so right now I see there's like 5,000 people dead on the street right now. They're not even homeless, but well, they weren't homeless until last night. Now they're all homeless.
They're all homeless, yeah. They're all the plague is getting them all.
Yeah, I see like the CEO of all these tech companies, they're homeless now because they can't sell their tech stocks in time. We're all fucking screwed.
It's because of it's all the shit in the street, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me take this off now. I don't think I can wear this for a prolonged period of time. Maybe I could. Goggins could probably just be like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this for 50 hours at a time, even in my sleep.
And we might have to all start wearing those in our sleep, to be honest with you.
Probably, like, especially if your apartment gets contaminated, you might have to do that.
I honestly think I probably already have corona. I just can't. I just don't have any symptoms, but I'm convinced since I live in New York City that I'm pretty sure everyone has one. Every time I'm on the subway, someone's coughing.
Stuff when people are already infected in New York City. I feel like infection rate is probably not that high yet, but it's like only a matter of time until it goes just like uncontrolled.
Yeah, I mean every time I go on the subway, someone's coughing. Every taxi ride, every Uber. I'm sure we're all infected already. But anyway, yeah. So you said something. Oh yeah, consulting. So I saw before you had like a consulting, mimetic theory consulting situation going on.
Yeah.
So what's that about?
That was just kind of something I was kind of winging it. Like when I was trying to hustle and had like no money, just like living in like a tiny room, like some house, paying like $300 per month for rent, just trying to get by.
Yeah, just vibing. You're like, yeah, let me try to pull off a consultancy.
Yeah, I think you could totally do it. Like if you're like you have absolutely nothing, you read like even like 5 books and you're like not stupid, you could just like wing it. Just talk to interesting people who might have problems and you'd be like, yeah, I can try to figure out something. Like I was just going to do these like local entrepreneurship meetups, and I wasn't even actually trying to look for a job. I was still just like doing other random jobs. And a couple people, they're like, yeah, I have a startup problem. I feel like you're a smart guy. Consult me. I'll pay you some Bitcoins.
That's a pretty solid gig, actually, to be honest with you. So yeah, so you're just like, let me just put some of the philosophy I've read along over the years to use and see if I can apply it to like business and the like.
It wasn't even years. It was probably like I started reading for like a couple months and going to those meetups, and then people are like, "Damn, you know all this stuff from your books. Let's get you to work for us." So like, you can start this super quickly.
That's fair. That also kind of speaks to how aimless people are and how much they want like leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like a semblance of confidence, people are like, "Yeah, let me hop on this. Let me follow you."
Yeah. Oh, have you seen this YouTube channel where this Indian guy makes these videos like watch Jordan Peterson once, watch Goggins once?
No, I haven't seen those.
Oh, those are pretty funny. Like he would basically like parody them for like a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Have all these videos, and they get a decent number of views, maybe like 500,000.
Mm-hmm. So basically, it's like you watch one of these people once, and then they're just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start talking about cleaning my room." And
and you can pretty much like start a consulting business.
Done. I mean, shit. I should get on that. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But even if you are shit posting, I mean, I feel like everyone eventually, all accounts turn to shit posting eventually, because once you start to get like self-aware.
I started with shit posting. I started out as anonymous shit posting, but I was also like, I'm not gonna hide my identity. It's too much work.
Yeah, that's how I feel, to be honest with you.
If you want to find me, whatever, you can find me. If you don't want to find me, I'm not like readily visible. So it's whatever.
That's the exact same thing with me. I was gonna stay anonymous, but then I wrote a book and I was like, fuck, it's too late now. Let me just kind of make it semi-anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So you started with shit posting, and then you kind of got sort of serious, and then now you're in like a hybrid.
No, I'm really not serious at all. it's just I post whatever I want, or I just like don't even check Twitter. Doesn't matter.
That's fair. So then how do you think you got like followers, like big name followers like Naval, or ended up in Frog Twitter or whatever? You just kind of, what you decided to shit post about happened to be interesting to people?
Yeah, that was for the first couple months. I actually didn't get that many followers.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably gaining like 200 per month.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, never mind. I don't think that's the case.
Somewhere in the middle, like if I remember, like my growth, it was like super slow, and then all of a sudden it starts to like pick up speed. And I'm not even that big.
I joined in basically end of March or April 2018. That's when I joined Twitter. I think it was probably growing maybe like 200 the first month, and I got like a couple more hundred next month. And then by the middle of June, I made this one thread. And that took me from about 1,000 to like 5,000 overnight.
Really? What was the thread about?
It was well, I deleted it now because I deleted all my tweets multiple times already.
Mm-hmm.
But that one was, I think it was around 15 tweets. It was kind of like a shit posting tweet. Like it was like, it's almost like it's shit posting, but people think it's like legit insight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just connecting some of Peter Thiel's ideas with like some of Robert Cialdini's ideas,
mm-hmm.
and saying, let's see what I say. Basically, I try to dissect why did Peter Thiel choose to recommend the book Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World, because it's like a very obscure book and a very difficult to read book.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at all the other books that Tim Ferriss's guests recommended on his podcast, they don't recommend like that.
Yeah, they're always like super easy to read, like really digestible.
Exactly, and they would recommend like at least like 2 or 3 books. Or in the case of Naval, he recommended like 20.
Mm-hmm.
But Thiel only recommended 1. He's like, no, this is it. You either get it, you can read it, or no, you just don't get it, you're dumb fuck.
Wait, I don't even know what this book is. Wait, what's the name of the book?
Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World.
And then, so what was your reasoning for why he picked that?
Shit, I don't even remember all my points.
Yeah, like even one.
Basically, it's like you have to put in the effort to actually get it, and then it's like it's only one book, so it's kind of like more focused. Because if someone recommends you like 20 books, you're gonna be like, oh, I get through them eventually, or you'll pick a random one. But this is like him showing his crystal clear thinking. He's like, yeah, I've thought about this shit. This is the only book I'm gonna recommend you.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, he has that kind of like. I mean, you're kind of right about Thiel. He has a very clear thinking, very concrete recommendation, very concrete like advice to people who read his books and shit. I like him, but everyone kind of does.
Right. Yeah. Like another reason is since it's like difficult to read the book, and there's references to. Is there references to other books? There might be. I don't recall exactly, but there's like. But you have to start to do your own research to even start to interpret this book. Like, what is he even talking about in it? So you kind of like, if you choose to go down the rabbit hole, you could. So you can see that option, but you have to put in some work yourself.
And then people would latch onto this thread and were like, "Oh yeah, this is my shit. Mimetic Value is my favorite Twitter account."
Yeah, that's how I got my job, actually.
Really? From my Twitter thread?
Like I was just kind of winging it with some consulting before that. It was good, but then it's like my current employer, he just like flew me to Seattle here, and like I just started to work with him.
No shit. So let that be a lesson to all of you shit posters on Twitter that apparently you can get a job from random Twitter threads. That's good to know. Well, that gives us all hope. All the neats in the bedroom.
Well, the problem is like if you're too much of a pussy and you stay like completely anonymous, then how they tell you like they want you to do whatever job, like they'll just say, okay, cool thread, bro, and then move on.
That's
like
true.
You put yourself out there a little bit. Like who the fuck is gonna dox you and give a fuck about it? It's like, oh yeah, this homeless guy on the street, I know exactly who he is. Or it's like this guy, I don't know what you guys do. Or you work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a big deal.
That's so funny. Yeah, so yeah, fuck it. So clearly the wisdom right now is like to stay anonymous because you might get canceled for saying something that's not according to narrative.
Like a really great job, like you're getting paid like 6 figures at some big company, I guess I can understand why you choose to stay anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have that, it's like, who cares?
That's That's very true. Well, that gives me hope because maybe one of my fucking threads will get me flown out to Seattle because I kind of hate New York City. So that's cool. So wait, so you kind of interpreted a Peter Thiel thread, and I like Peter Thiel because he kind of is like one of the few voices in like Silicon Valley or whatever that has like a right wing or not, at least not super shit lib perspective. Is that kind of like what brought you to this kind of like in between moderate right wing Twitter shit posting field? Like what kind of red pilled you on that?
It's like a long story. Like
long story. Oh yeah, we have time. Shit.
Yeah, I feel like I never really identified with any parties, Republican, Democrat, whatever. I don't care about any of that type of shit. I don't even want to vote. I don't think I voted yet. I think, maybe I drew in some bullshit for some local elections. Like I was just like writing pee poo poo writing. Those kind of candidates. I'm not even like taking it seriously, choosing an actual candidate, just writing some random name, some funny name. And I'm all like testosterone.
Some random shit.
Yeah, just like write that is the candidate I'm voting for.
And then you were like, but then you kind of you were like, fuck it, I don't really like politics, but I guess Thiel kind of spoke to you a bit.
I don't want to get into politics. I don't take any of these theories seriously. I don't even take Thiel's political views seriously. It's like, why care? It's, well, I mean, you care to do whatever's best for yourself, but like all the like national level, whatever. It's
no. Well, I don't mean like national politics. I mean, I know it's an election season. I don't really care about Dem or Republican. I mean more like on like a, I guess, aesthetic level, as opposed to like the, you know, the the shit will be like left wing aesthetic versus like the more macho, I guess, right wing aesthetic. That's more so what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the aesthetics, like the personal aesthetic, is way more important.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll way back on that, like basically when I first got on the internet, like the first things, I think the first thing I was looking into was parkour. I was like,
A
you know, I didn't really have available access to internet probably until high school. Like in middle school, maybe my dad would allow me to use his computer, like, type up like assignment and play some like flash player games every once in a while. But really, I didn't really get my own laptop until high school. And then started watching these like YouTube videos on parkour, and then on the parkour forums they're like, yeah, if you want to get good at parkour, you got to start lifting. I was like, all right, let me buy a barbell, have like a little barbell at home. I was just kind of like doing clean and press, stuff like that. Was like pretty much 135 pounds for a while. And then what did I do? Yeah, then I went to college and got in and then pretty much just skipped classes and just stayed in the gym and did starting strength and fucking gallon of milk a day. It does not work. It just makes you feel terrible.
Yeah, that's a lot of milk. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, I don't think I ever reached a gallon in a day. Like even like a quart is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking milk. I hear raw milk is better. People have been trying to get me woke to the raw milk, but milk in large quantities is nauseating.
Yeah.
So you were like, fuck it, let me start lifting. You're like, the classes are trash. I mean, like I skipped a class a lot too. I'm sorry, mom. And then you kind of ended up in like more like the personal aesthetic of like, oh, I don't like weakness. And
before that, I already found Frank Yang on YouTube as well. He makes all these weird videos, lifting videos. Have you watched him before?
No, I've not.
Oh, dude, you have to watch him. He's like,
what's his name?
Frank Yang.
Frank Yang.
Yeah, he's like original, like just like crazy video maker, fitness YouTuber. He doesn't talk about fitness that much. Sometimes he just like. Apparently, he didn't do psychedelics until a couple years ago too. Like he was making his weirdest videos when he was just completely sober. The weirdest dude there is. I also saw like his like compilation of what he was capable of, and that was amazing back then. Like I was just this high school kid, and he was this guy who was only like 150 pounds, but he can do like a 40-inch vertical leap.
Oh, wow.
So he can dunk at like 5'9" or something.
That's impressive.
And he can squat over 400 and deadlift over 500, and all those crazy box jumps and like 250-pound clean and jerk and all that. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive. I got into lifting from high school sports. Like I was on the swim team, so that's the only reason why I kind of got, I guess, I don't know, strong at all when I was younger, because I wasn't watching videos on it. I was like playing Guitar Hero in my room. But I was like strong for no reason because I was lifting for the swim team.
Yeah.
So you were just like, fuck it. So have you always been on the West Coast? Has that like always been like where you grew up?
Yeah, I grew up in Baltimore.
Oh, you grew up in Baltimore. So yeah, when did you move out to the West Coast? Just like after the thread?
Well, I got the job and it's like, yeah, come here. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm coming here.
Okay, so East Coast native. So then how did you end up like talking about tech shit? Is that just like kind of came about naturally?
That was kind of like my field in college before I dropped out. So,
computer science?
Stuff. Well, I ended up choosing the computer science major, but that wasn't really what I was into. It's more like everything available at the job fairs are only for computer science stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like the only industry that's been growing consistently. I feel that. Yeah, that's kind of why I picked math. I wasn't really fucking interested in studying math. I was like way more interested in like philosophy and shit. But then math and computer science was like the practical version of what I was doing. So I was like, let me just kind of flip over. but ultimately I don't even use it now.
Yeah, so I wanted to do parkour in high school, and I still suck at parkour. But yeah, that got me into like lifting, and then I found Frank Yang, and Frank Yang was talking about like bodybuilding.com and stuff, and 4chan. But like I could never check 4chan. I feel like I don't like how things are displayed on that website. It's just
That's part of the aesthetic, though. It's
I don't like that aesthetic. I feel like the bodybuilding.com miss forums, that aesthetic is way better.
the what form?
Bodybuilding miss.
But the aesthetic for 4chan it's basically it was the same aesthetic it was in 2001 when it started. They just have never changed the layout. It's
Right. So that's basically the same as bodybuilding forums too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's been the same for a long time. It was pretty fun. Like a lot of people cross post on fit and bodybuilding misc. So like I get whatever's coming out of 4chan, they'll link it.
Oh, gotcha. So wait, do you like just lift casually, or do you like compete or anything like that?
Well, the first few years I used to compete. Now I just don't even lift at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I got up to like around like 550 deadlift, 500 squat, like 3-plate bench.
All right, you got to a 3-plate bench. I'm impressed. I'm still working up to that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I got up to. But then it's like, if I want to make more progress, I was still making progress. But then I have to sleep more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need the recovery.
And I just don't want to sleep that much or eat that much anymore. It's too much.
That's fair, yeah. There becomes like a diminishing returns effect after a while. Because I have like the worst fucking schedule for recovery and lifting. So like my lifts are getting heavier, but they're not like progressing like they should.
Yeah, I remember I was trying to get into parkour. How the fuck did I go down this tangent of lifting for so many years?
That's a good point. It also probably is really bad for parkour to be like jacked and not flexible.
Yeah, well, there's that guy, Juju Mufu or whatever his name is, on YouTube now. I knew him before I got onto, even before he got popular on YouTube. He used to run this website for tricking, which is kind of like...
Yeah, I know tricking. It's like basically more aerialist version of...
He used to be a skinny guy, or at least like regular athletic. But like over the past couple of years, he just got super jacked. He's like 250 pounds now, like shredded. Mm-hmm. Like 1,000 grams of Trenbolone.
Yeah, that's funny. So how do you feel? Just randomly, how do you feel about like steroid use? Just on because like everyone, like eventually after you start lifting enough, you start meeting people in the gym, and you're like, oh yeah, everyone's on steroids. Is that like, how do you feel about that?
I would say, unless you compete in a sport that bans it, why not just use it? If you're somewhat competent, at least. Like if you're I guess I want to say 1,000 total, but could be different. It depends on like how big you are and like how tall you are. Mm-hmm. But basically, like if you're in that advanced gym goer zone where you're stronger than most people in the gym already, you have good form. Mm-hmm. You want to see what it feels like to, have that superhuman kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Go for it.
That's fair. I've never tried it, but I feel like I was shocked by how common it was. I thought it was just kind of like, you hear about it when people talk about sports. Then I was like, oh no, like everyone, like a ton of people at the gym are on steroids. Yeah. That's cool. Do you think, what about side effects? Do you think that like the side effects are a deterrent enough to like avoid it?
Well, it depends on how much you take. I think honestly, most people to reach their goals, they don't really need to take much at all. They just get like a TRT dosage of testosterone and add on like maybe some masteron or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you don't even need trim, but you could add that if you want. But just like a tiny amount, the lowest dosage possible, you basically look like a fitness model. Just walk around 180, 190 shredded. But just like around like early Ziz size, right? Like the early Ziz.
Yeah. But he was also kind of slim to begin with, like naturally though. Like
Right.
I'm not like a naturally thin person. I'm also not like ectomorph. I guess naturally mesomorphic. So I don't know what I would look like, but I don't really plan to use steroids. But if I did, it would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have, just now that I'm already talking about it? What do you think about steroids in sports in general? So you said like if they're not in competition, do you have an aversion to like athletes using it in actual competition?
There's so many people in competition using it. It's right. It's like I would say probably don't break the rules, but if everyone else is breaking the rules, maybe you have to.
Honestly, I think that they should just make it legal. I mean, they're all using it anyway. I don't really outside of health risks. I think it should be just like let them do it.
Yeah, I think probably best path is let them do it, but like have the doctor document everything.
Yeah, exactly. It should be documented in like whatever because I'm like they're all using it. They're all using the most advanced stuff so they can avoid the tests. You might as well just let them have it, and then it makes it more fun for everybody else.
Right.
That's cool. So you've also been posting about Rome. So I've also got really, really into Rome research. Do you use it that often? Because I saw you posting about it. What do you use it for? Because I find that everyone I talk to uses it differently, and I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I just know I like using it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I use it for several different purposes. So I was actually gonna continue my how I got from like parkour to like lifting and now like the MMA type of stuff. So I've been keeping a room for MMA type of stuff. Like whenever I go to the classes, I put in what I learned that day in there, and also just like try to connect what positions flow into what other positions. Like you can do Kimura from side control, for example. So I put that in Rome and just link up all these type of stuff. I actually have it as, I think I made it public view. You can view it publicly, but I can't. Yeah.
So it's basically made a flow chart for like, if you're in this situation, you have the options of like Kimura or like with this, and then you can keep moving from there.
Except for Rome doesn't really display flow chart. Yeah.
No, but it's that graphic like, web.
That network graphic thing, it's kind of glitchy. Like if you click on it, it doesn't really do anything. Yeah, like inside the notes itself, it links them up like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that that's helpful for your learning process?
Yeah, I think it's pretty helpful.
Do you feel like what do you think like you got out of it? Because like I don't even know what I use Rome for. I just write all my random. I like connect Twitter threads and random ass ideas, and I'm not really sure what I'm getting out of it. I just know that it feels like something's happening, but I'm not really sure what. It feels better than like using Evernote or whatever.
Right. So for this, I can click through all the different positions and see what links up together. The way to review things after class.
So are you trying to compete in MMA?
I don't think I'll do like a MMA fight. But I do think I'll compete in jiu-jitsu. But like this virus thing, it's fucking in my soul. I'm not gonna risk going on the mat with like 30 other guys who probably already have the coronavirus.
And that's it.
I stopped this week. That's
fair, yeah. It also, the virus looks like it's gonna get pretty serious since no one's really taking any like global action. It just hit Brazil, which is not great. Usually that's a bad sign. So what is your take on the virus right now? What do you think? You think it's Chinese designer? You think it was a bioweapon? What do you think it is?
So I think my response to it and what I think it is probably the most accurate view.
And what is that?
Judge that. I think it's somewhere in the middle of what everyone's saying, but of course there's people on both sides trying to say I'm extreme, which is I think it did come from the lab, but I don't think it's engineered specifically to like kill people in a certain way. I think like a lab mistake.
Yeah, that's what I think it is too. I think they were working on something and then they sold the meat on the black market. I think that idea was like the correct one.
Yeah.
And they're not really great. And China historically has not been great at like, well, they've been big at making mistakes in like the tech field, and also like they're not great at like hygienic containing shit. So at least mainland China is not great at it. So
yeah, and like the thing is, like, you see all these like little white American researchers are like, oh, there's all these safety protocols, you have to follow them. There's no way it went to the get the fuck up. You don't know shit. Well, I ate a rabbit from a lab before. Like when I was like 5 years old, my dad, in fact, he's in epidemiology. He epidemiology research. He brought back a rabbit from the lab and we ate it.
That's awesome. So you're like, that's definitely what happened.
How are you gonna say that this shit doesn't happen when I already did it?
That's hilarious. He's like, yeah. All right, so then, yeah, that's great confirmation. I can now shit to my friends who will be like, no, there's no way that's what happened. I'm like, that sounds like China, to be honest with you. I don't know much of that. I know enough to know that that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. So what do you think? I would be like remiss to not talk about memes with the guy whose name is literally Mimetic Value. What do you have any like interesting meme takes?
Yeah, so the word mimetic, I actually got it from Peter Thiel's recommendation of that book, Things is the Foundation of the World. So that book is written by this guy, René Girard, who's this French philosopher who kind of put together this mimetic theory thing. And I used to have a PDF presentation linked on my profile. I put it down. I think I'm gonna edit it and put it back up eventually.
I think I checked it out once. I remember there was Kanye on it. I actually because I've been following you for a minute. It was like the Kanye presentation, right?
It might have. I forgot if I put Kanye on there or not. But I do remember. I know Steve Jobs is one of the examples.
Yeah.
That was actually straight from Peter Thiel's lecture. He did a lecture series on this type of stuff. From
0 to 1, I remember that because So you got it from René Girard, like his whole mimetic theory, and like this. I did not read Girard that intensely, but I know there's like the memes and Scapegoat. There was that whole thing where it's like people like they copy each other's value system, and then they try to scapegoat people, something like that. Do you have a better recollection of it?
Oh yeah. I mean, you gave a very brief, vague summary, but it's on the right track. So basically, what he's really emphasizes like people copy each other's behaviors, and I have like shitload of books on mimetic theory. Let's see if I can bring some out.
Oh, you got the rings too? That's I need some of those.
Oh yeah, of course, dude.
I really do. I was thinking about buying some.
Ring dips.
Hey. For those who are listening only, he's demonstrating his ring dips.
All right, let's get the books. Okay, I have more, but I found these three.
All right, so what books are those?
So this is Girard's first book. It's called Deceit, Desire, and the Novel. And this is really where he started to put things together. So how he did his research was he used to be a literature professor, and he was reading all these famous novels like Dostoevsky, whatever. And I think the way he was working through it, he was like, yeah, this guy likes that girl, but only because his friend also likes that girl. And they both like the same girl because they're similar, because they're friends. So they're gonna have like similar tastes.
Also, by the way, I remember that example of his, and I was like, that's more like how girls think, but we can continue.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the specific person.
Yeah.
But like he was noticing this pattern. Like it goes both ways. like that's how the guys and the girls think in different novels that these literature guys wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically figured out that theory from there. So he started to work from that angle. That's where he started.
Yeah.
Then afterwards, he's like, there's a model you're mimicking, right? And it's your friend, but then once you start to desire the same thing as your model, you start to fight over, and you have this rivalry, this conflict. And from there, he was trying to figure out how to resolve that conflict. And that led him to like mythology, religion, and anthropology. So he was saying that if a whole bunch of people start to desire the same thing, they're going to scapegoat one person and say it's all his fault. And then afterwards, the conflict is resolved. They're happy again.
Yeah.
But then like, the person who got scapegoated and killed, the act of killing him was what brought about the good times. So sacrificing him is what brought about the good times. So people start to associate the sacrifice with something good happening, right? So it's if there's a flood, you gotta sacrifice a virgin to the river god, then the flood will be over and people will be happy again. So that was kind of the start of religion.
Yes, I do remember that, and I do remember him saying that like Christianity was the only true religion. Because it was like the only mythology that defended the innocent or whatever. Because like they were scapegoating before, they were just scapegoating whatever, but the victim was always whoever lost or something like that. And now in Christianity, it's different in that.
Yeah. So Christianity was basically what basically brought about individualism, kinda.
Yeah.
Basically. The thing with Jesus is like everyone knew he was innocent, at least followers of the religion, and they can see that he was wronged and he was unfairly sacrificed. For all the other religions, they're like, yeah, sacrifice this motherfucker so the rest of us can be better off.
Yeah, and that was see, like I actually have corona. Look at that, but that's I do remember him saying that. Yeah, so Jesus was unfairly sacrificed, which was like the first time in mythology up until that point that the innocent perspective was voiced, and that's what makes Christianity true from Gerard's perspective, right? What's your take on religion? I have the personal view that absolutely no one's religious, even if they kind of purport it in 2020. It's like a fake. It's not a fake. It's like as Nietzsche said, God is dead. So we have people are religious, but it's more behavioral. It's behavioral religion as opposed to truly deeply felt. It's kind of like whatever. But what's your take on religion?
Yeah. I think you made a good point. I don't know because I don't know other people's internal experiences. I feel like everything Gerard has said is true, but that doesn't mean Christian metaphysics is necessarily true.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's not true. So that part I don't really know. I think the way he sorted out how the values and stuff fit together, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I like to think of now religion as being more aesthetic and behavioral. So you choose the religion that accents your aesthetic belief and your behavior, values and moral values in behavioral sense. But I don't think anyone really believes the metaphysics anymore, even if they claim to. And then people who really trying to push it, they end up as extremists. You get your Islamic fundamentalists, even though they're really more of a political faction, but it's the same. You get these hyper reactions when they're trying to be devout.
Right. But also I think historically, I don't know if people really believed in the metaphysics that much either.
I agree with that.
I think people just kind of wanted to go to church and hang out. Let's say 200 years ago, how much do they believe it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think. It's the same as politics now, or politics in the.
Maybe the Puritans really believed it, but maybe back then the Hindus already were whatever. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. I know that, like, if from accounts, like, they would have like orgies in the church back in like the Middle Ages. The popes were having orgies. Like, what was purported wasn't what was actually like spoken. Wasn't what the behavior was actually like. I mean, there's prostitutes in the church often. They, there's a reason why even in the Bible they were at the temples. They were doing gambling and had like the prostitutes. So it's clearly never been that strictly enforced.
Mm.
Cool. So what other books do you have there from Gerard?
The other books are not himself. So this book, it's called Empire Value.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty good book. I haven't got through the whole thing yet, but my other friend on Twitter, Ahimsa, you can, I guess, link his full profile thing later.
Yeah, it's Ahimsa.
Yeah, but you know him, right?
No, I've never seen him.
Oh, you don't know him? Yeah. So he's like this finance guy. He's also super into Gerard. He started reading Gerard before I started reading Gerard. I found him when I first got on Twitter, when I had like 100 followers. And he was super into this book because this book basically connects so many ideas, man. It connects ideas to Gerard and kind of touch upon like some of Taleb's ideas, but also has like some parts on Marxism. It's like, yeah, Marx said some things correct, but some things wrong. Yeah, it's just to kind of like put things all together. And I think his claim is essentially that you should have a mimetic view of economics, and regardless of whether it's Marxism or capitalism, they're both flawed in that they put this emphasis on material. Like they're very materialistic, but they kind of ignore that materials only have value because humans place value on them.
Mm-hmm.
So all these conventional economic theories, they kind of neglect the mimetic component of how things are priced.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Yeah, they rely on like an intrinsic value of the capital.
Yeah. So this book is like a big critique of that.
That's actually really funny because that's actually what my first guest talked to us about. His books are about like attention, which in a lot of ways is memes, about how like that's what gives value to objects, whatever, in the internet age. So that's cool overlap. And then what's that third book?
The mimetic brain. So this one kind of put together more of the psychology of how things work. So his theory is that he divides the brain functions into rational, emotions, and mimetic. So these are separate parts.
Say what?
He basically divides the functions of the brain into three parts: rational, emotion, and mimetic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so that's. Oh, I thought you were gonna say more. Oh yeah, so and what's the mimetic portion? Do you like, or have you not got far enough?
I'm trying to recall how to explain it because I read this a long time ago. Yeah, I think like the mimetic part is kind of like a intermediate force that goes between the rational and the emotive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't talked this in depth ahead of time, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, so fuck it. Some people just do their own research. I don't give a shit. Look, people don't read enough books anyway, as it is. I mean, people need to like. I always feel fucking bad because I'm like, why am I reading all these books and no one gives a shit? But that's how you get followers, I guess. You read the books and they were like, let me just.
Okay, so I forgot. For me. It's like a point I want to bring up. Like,
yeah.
A lot of people say they like reading for the sake of it. I don't like to read for the sake of it. You're like just this fucking monkey staring at like a tablet for hours. It's pretty absurd.
I definitely don't like reading for the sake of it, but I'm like compelled to read random ass books. It's frustrating.
Reading's always a pragmatic activity. Like you're reading to get something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to find useful information, or you're trying to like understand something.
yeah, that's why I never really was into fiction because I just can't like sit there and like read for fun unless I really want to know what's in the book. Like I generally don't give a shit about fiction. Whereas like with nonfiction, I'm like I have to know what's in this book, and it's a compulsion.
Well, so fiction, I started to read a lot more fiction after reading Gerard because he uses the fiction as examples to dissect certain things in the real world. And,
Yeah.
that's pretty useful. And a lot of times when you read even just like fiction without doing a Gerardian analysis or any type of analysis, there's still stuff in there where they'll show you something more real about real life than a lot of nonfiction.
Very true. But then I end up with books I have a harder time with that, which is I don't know what that's about with my head. But I end up doing a lot of anime analysis for that reason because that's what I can like zone out and watch fairly easily. Or I read like dense fiction, like like a David Foster Wall or some random shit. It's really hard for me to like. I'm either picking like super lowbrow, like Rick and Morty, or like anime, or it's like super like highbrow, like Gravity's Rainbow or something. I don't really have like a good middle ground.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So what are you reading now? Just for the audience to like get an insight into your brain.
Well, I'm not gonna read something that's like not pragmatic for my situation right now, right?
Oh yeah.
So I don't understand all these like Twitter guru motherfuckers are still reading philosophy and reading all these like theories of psychology, whatever, when there's a fucking pandemic going on. In the game.
So you're reading about how to build a post-apocalyptic bunker?
No, someone else is gonna build it. I'll just pay someone else to do it eventually.
Yeah. Or as Ulysses said, if Law and Order breaks down, you can just take it from some nerd, stuff them in a locker, and take their bunker.
I started to read some books on like how do you do your own first aid if you can't go to the hospital, and how do you like, and just like what do you need to prepare for any type of survival kits? What do you need to buy? How do you start a fire? Whatever, stuff like that.
I should do more of that. I like that pragmatism. So do you really think Law and Order is gonna break down or you think it's gonna be like super serious, this virus?
See, that's the thing. It's like, what do people mean by that? It's not a fucking zombie apocalypse, but it's also not just the flu.
Yeah.
The way I would put it is, it's like, it's about as serious as the 2008 recession, and possibly could be worse.
Oh, all right.
I would say it's right now. It looks to be about that severity, but there's a possibility of it getting worse than that if things continue to get fucked up. But I really can't imagine it being worse than the Great Depression.
So you really think that like the stock market's going to crash, economy's going to crash in the U.S.? We just haven't felt it yet?
We have felt it. The stock markets are down 10% already.
That's true. But I'm saying like even like because like the 2008 financial crash wasn't just like the stock market. There was like actual like pandemonium in some sense. Like people were getting fired and stuff. Like right now we just have like a dip in the market, but
well, people are getting fired in China.
Yeah, true. That is true.
Like, yeah, just because it's not happening here, it doesn't mean it already didn't happen somewhere else.
That's true. That is a very U.S. centric viewpoint. But we won't get some shit soon. Like there's already the N95 mask already sold out worldwide. So like I'm sure like soon our like supply of random shit is just gonna cease.
Yeah, if you only get like new computers or new cars, you should probably get them soon too.
Oh yeah, that's true. All the chips and stuff are made in China.
Yeah, and there's factories like all these like Japanese and Korean car manufacturers are saying they can't operate their factories anymore.
So we should all basically continue to short the market, is what you're saying, and get some cash ready for future investments once we bottom out.
Yeah. I've already just like told my parents to put all their money in bonds. Like shorting, probably last week would have been a good idea to do it, but now I might be a bit late.
Yeah. No, I definitely wouldn't start now if you haven't.
50%, it might not go down more, or
Mhm.
it's just hard to say.
Yeah, no, I'm generally of the perspective that it's too late once you've already seen the move happen. Like, don't hop on as like last second.
I think I could get a lot worse. In fact, I think the markets will probably still drop a little bit more, but I think the initial big movement is already done.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, not really cool. It's really shitty, but cool in that there's opportunity for those of us who are younger. This is when you buy property. Like when the market starts to recover, you start to buy property, you start to buy shit, assets. This is your opportunity to get in. Is what?
Yeah,
Cool.
probably maybe in a year
Yeah.
or maybe even 2 years, depending on how fast they roll out the vaccines and treatments.
I hope it's not like actually a designer in that like your immune system does shut down. I mean, I know mostly it's old people dying right now, but like if it is genuinely what people say it is, then it could start to have like severe side effects, right?
So let me tell you what's my biggest concern, and this is something they haven't figured out yet. What if it's a chronic disease? Like if you get it and it's gonna be like herpes or AIDS, and you're just stuck with it for life, and
Yeah,
you're kind of fine, you recover, but then a couple months later you get an attack again, and
yeah,
all these fucking pharma companies will make you buy treatments, but you're never fully cured. You're just like
yeah.
just on this prescription for the rest of your life.
That would suck. Not a fan. And of course, I fucking live in a city during this.
That's what I'm trying to fucking avoid with the masks and stuff.
Yeah, if it's a chronic like inflammatory.
It might not be that. It might just become more like a seasonal flu thing eventually. We just don't know. So
That's true. I mean, I got H1N1 when that happened, so and that wasn't that. I mean, that sucked, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
I got over it in a few days.
Yeah. So right now we just don't know how this virus actually behaves. Like, does it stay in your system, or is it just out?
I feel that. Yeah, it's true. Well, we'll find out with time, I suppose. I need to get my friend's stockpiling masks, so I actually have to buy one now. So do you have anything you're trying to promote right now, or you just you got your like the vibe in Seattle, so you're not really?
Yeah, I think I'm in a good place right now. I don't really need to promote anything in particular.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll have everyone hit you up on Twitter, give you some more followers, and yeah, that's it. Anyway, this has been my value. You want?
Yeah, I mean, not my own project, but if you want to try to support my friend John David Ebert and his like podcast and philosophy show or whatever.
What's his podcast?
So he's this philosopher guy who lives in New Mexico, and he makes these YouTube videos explaining McLuhan, Spangler, and all those people.
All right, cool. What's his name? What's the name of his podcast?
So right now he started like a new podcast with like a couple other guys called I think it's called the Hyper Modernity Podcast. So that's one he is.
All right, word. I'll send him over.
His YouTube channel, John David Ebert YouTube channel. You should be able to find stuff there.
Nice, very cool. Yeah, I'll link that in the description and check it out myself. Always trying to expand the space for more interesting, not fucking clickbaity ass videos and podcasts. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Great to talk to you.
Likewise.